Hey everybody, it's Kelby with Fire Through Fog. I wanted to take the time to thank you personally for giving us your time to listen to these episodes and supporting us. And if you want to support us any other way, you can go to our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/Fire Through Fog, where there's some other posts and all the episodes get posted there. So if you want to help out, spread this as far and as wide as possible, it would be greatly appreciated. Again, thank you for listening to our episodes, and I hope you enjoyed today's. All right, good evening, everybody. It's Kelby here with Uke, and our special guest tonight is Chad Temple. How you doing, Chad?
Good. How are you guys?
Good.
Fantastic.
How you doing, Uke?
Hey, I'm great.
Yeah?
Yeah. Good day.
Good day till
Ready
the
for
end.
the weekend?
I mean, it's still good. We're all still
Yeah.
no damage or anything.
No, not storm roll through.
Little scare, but I guess there was one tornado that touched down south of us, so hopefully everyone's okay down there. All right, Chad. Well, what do you do nowadays?
I am at Layfeld welding in Coldwater, so I was there for the tornado too.
Yeah.
It was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
We had to go hide by some oxygen cylinders, which didn't quite seem safe.
Yeah, we were talking about that before this. You're pretty much screwed anyway, so either let me go home or just let me continue working.
I know they told us where our safe spot was at, and I'm just like, can I just leave? Because I feel like I'm safer.
Yeah. Cool, man. You probably made some of the stuff for us.
Probably.
How long you been there?
I'm sure.
I actually just started like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay, so maybe
No,
not.
maybe not yet.
Not yet.
You will.
I'm not in the fab shop, though.
Oh.
I'm up front.
Well, you're here.
Sales
You probably hear something. Someone will call you from here.
I'm sure.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Softball? You still doing softball?
Still doing softball, going strong.
Yeah.
Taking a break this weekend, but yeah, we still have our co-ed. We're actually second right now. So
Really?
Yeah, we're having a really good year.
That's
pretty
good.
exciting.
I had fun last year playing.
Oh, yeah. I know. We wanted you back.
Yeah, Braden keeps asking. I'm like, I got to stick to it. And Leah's like, no. She had fun, but she's like, she's sick of hearing me complain about injuries. But,
well. Man.
You got to quit whining about it. Just do it.
So Chad's got a pretty intense story that I'm really excited to hear about tonight. I know a little about it. It was back in, 2009?
2009, July 17th, 2009.
July 17th, summertime.
My anniversary's coming up.
Yeah, that is,
July
yeah.
9.
What would that be? I mean, I can't add. Anybody?
What?
Calculator? How many years?
Like
12 years?
12 years.
Yeah.
11 years, 12 years.
Yeah, so, I mean, go ahead, go right into it if you want. Just start from the beginning.
So, July 17th. Actually, the whole story starts July 16th. I feel like none of this, I don't know if you guys are like a believer of like the butterfly effect, to where like one thing can affect what you do down the road.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually was at Andy Garwood's house. We were riding 4-wheelers, and he's got like a dirt track out behind his house. We were just ramping and doing it all day. Well, we actually like started ramping too much, so we started wearing one side of the ramp down, and I flipped the 4-wheeler, and it like messed up my entire ankle. It was really fat, and I always like laughed at it because I said it looked like I had a cankle. And that's what made me the next day on the 17th go over to my friend Stefan's house. I was like, dude, you got to see my ankle. This was before Snapchat and all that, so I couldn't just like snap him a picture. Right. So I go over there on my moped. I was like, dude, look at my cankle. It's so fat. And we just sit and talk for a while. I'm like, all right, I'm going to head home, start heading home.
How old are you at this time first?
14.
14, okay.
Start going home, and actually right in front of the high school. I don't know if you know where, like, the orthodontist is right there.
Yep.
And then you have the high school, like, caddy corner. It's right at that intersection. I'm on my way home 2 blocks from my house, and I see this guy sitting in the turn lane getting ready to turn in front of me. And he had plenty of time to go, but I guess he was waiting on me, or I thought he was waiting on me. And I just pull up to the intersection, keep going, and at the last second, he pulls out right in front of me. So I didn't have time to react. I just remember, clenching my handlebars as hard as I could, which was actually like the worst thing I could do, I found out. Because once I did that, just hitting that car snapped both my wrists.
Jeez.
So, like, my fingers were touching my forearm on both of my wrists. And, like, you could see the bones, but they weren't quite popping out of the skin. I did have my helmet on. I just had a cut off and shorts on though. Smacked my head off the car. It tore my helmet off, and that made me break my jaw and my nose. Then when I flipped over the car, my leg like got caught in the wheel well or something and snapped my femur, which I found out was like the hardest bone to break in your body.
Oh, yeah.
And then I had braces at the time, and it knocked all of my teeth out.
All of them?
All of them.
Wow.
So, yeah, I just remember, flipping over the car, and people were like, "What, did you pass out?" Or, "What do you remember?" And I was just like, I remember everything. I was awake the entire time. I remember flipping over the vehicle, and then I'm just laying there on the pavement. No idea what's going on. I was just in shock. And I sit up, and I look at my wrist, and I'm like, oh, my gosh, my wrists are definitely broke. And I try to stand up, and then my leg just buckles, and that's when I figured out, okay, my leg is clearly broken, and I screamed in pain. And I remember hearing the ambulances coming, and my grandparents actually lived right down the road. And my grandma had some sense. They had a scanner, and they said they heard a moped. There's a moped accident, and she said, "Oh my God, that's Chad." And just came to the intersection. I remember laying there, and I see my grandma pull up, and she looks at me, and then she covers her mouth and walks away. And I'm like, "Oh, this is not good. It's not good at all." So then, yeah, I get in the ambulance. My mom's there, and she's trying to rub my arm, she's completely composed, which she's so tough. I don't understand how she did that, because I would be freaking out if I saw, my son laying there like almost dying. And I remember being in the ambulance and being like, hey, am I going to die, looking at all the paramedics, and they're not answering my question. I'm freaking out. My nose is broke, so I can't breathe through my nose. My teeth are all knocked out, so I've got blood piling up in my mouth, so I have no airway. That's why I had a tracheostomy done. Mm-hmm. So they had to, put a tube in my throat so I could breathe. I started off going to St. Mary's, and obviously they couldn't deal with the magnitude of my injuries. So I got care flighted to Dayton. And I remember getting on the helicopter, taking off, and the lady saying, "We're going to Dayton. I'm going to give you some pain medicine, and you're probably going to go to sleep." That's the last thing I remember. I woke up a week later in a hospital bed full of casts. No idea where I was at.
A week later?
Yep, I was in a medical-induced coma for a week.
Wow.
Ooh. So once I was in Dayton, actually the first night, put me into surgery, obviously. Had to cast my wrist up there up to my biceps in a full cast. Did the tracheostomy. They actually tried putting my teeth in where they thought they should go, like just to try and save them. And then I had to get a metal rod put into my entire femur. It's pretty much a metal rod. They put it in my femur so the bone grew around it. And it was like a 13-hour surgery. Wow. So, it was pretty intense. And then...
So this was all while you were in coma?
No idea. I don't remember showing up to Dayton or anything.
Wow.
I just woke up, like I said, last thing I remember was being in a helicopter going somewhere, and then I woke up a week later in a hospital bed with tubes coming out of my mouth, my nose, my leg in a cast, and just not being able to move. No idea what was going on. 14 years old. You're not very mature at that point, so you just kind of freaked out. But apparently the first night after surgery, my mom stayed there and my dad stayed there in the hospital room with me. And I guess I woke up like out of my coma, which wasn't supposed to happen. I do remember having a dream about the accident, and I guess that sparked me to like wake up. And I remember nurses running in, and they had to, hold me to the ground or hold me to the bed and give me whatever drug again, and then I was back out.
So why'd they have to hold you to the bed? Did you
I was
start freaking out?
I was trying to get out, yeah.
Wow.
Like I had casts on, and I guess I was like trying to roll out of the bed.
Yeah, I'm sure that's like an involuntary reaction. You've been asleep for you don't know how long at that point. Mm-mm. You're laying somewhere where you have no clue where you're at, what's going on. So I think that's probably your body's reaction to like.
It's kind of fight or flight
when
you're falling, like you have one of those falling dreams and you jump.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of what it was, but I kept going.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it felt like.
It's crazy.
Well, because a week before this, you knew you got hit and you've seen your injuries to an extent, but before this, you're okay. You're driving your moped. Mm-hmm. So you wake up a week later and you've got all this stuff on you. It was crazy. I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, it's very hard to explain. I've told it so many times, and I just feel like I always miss something because there was so much that was done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd say the worst part, honestly, out of all of it was the feeding tube. Having a feeding tube
I didn't know that.
down your nose, and it was awful.
Like, I did not know this at all.
You didn't know I had a trach or anything? Really?
No. I mean, you sound like the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, and now, I mean, all these teeth are fine, but canine to canine from here are all fake.
I was going to say, are they all fake, or you said?
Just canine to canine.
Wow.
They put those teeth back in there to try and, have them survive, but they ended up what they call as ankylosed, which is when the root fuses to the bone, so braces or anything won't move them at that point, so they had to do this was 3 or 4 years after the accident, and I'd still had going through surgeries trying to get, implants and all that. There's a whole thing you got to do, and insurance wouldn't cover it because it was considered cosmetic at that point, and it was just a whole ordeal.
Yeah.
Which was super unfortunate, but
yeah.
Now I'm good. I don't have any more surgeries I had to go through or anything.
When did that all stop? When was the last one, I should say?
About 2 years ago.
Really? Mm-hmm. What was that on?
My mouth.
Oh, so your mouth. Okay.
Yep, that was the only extensive surgery after the whole thing. Went to physical therapy for about 3 years. Pretty much had to relearn how to walk.
For 3 years.
Yeah, just conditioning and trying to build up my muscle. You go through atrophy, so you're losing muscle. I'm just sitting there like a potato, not doing anything. Can't move, can't scratch my nose. I can't even talk because my mouth was wired shut. I had a trach, so I had no form of communication. I couldn't even write because I'm fully casted. So my mom, I don't know how she did it, but I would just make these random noises, and she somehow knew what I needed. There was points where my nose would itch, so I guess I would go like this. She would know to itch my nose, or if I was thirsty, I'd kind of smack my lips a little bit because I could still take in fluid, but they obviously had me on IVs, and I couldn't eat any food, so it was all through feeding tube.
People, this is someone sitting here talking to us right now, telling he just went through all of this. At what age did it?
14.
So 14 to about when you were starting to get back. You said start walking good, running, getting picked back up.
Honestly, that didn't happen until probably, 8th grade, freshman year.
And we're talking to you right now, and I know you as an athlete, and you were a pretty stud athlete from what I've heard and know of you. I mean, at one point you were chasing my time, I'm pretty sure, in the 300 hurdles.
And Rick Ross is in the one, not in the hurdles, maybe in the 200.
Yeah, the 200. So
and then Rick Ross, I was 0.1 or 0.2 from his 10.9.
School record. You just went through that, and that right there is a story in itself. That's amazing.
And the thing that pushed me to do that was, when I was going through all this in Dayton, I was in intensive care for 7 weeks. So I was in that hospital for 7 weeks, just laying there. And I got to know the nurses really well. They pretty much became like friends or family almost. We actually went back and visited them, and blew their mind when they saw me again. They're like, "That you're the same kid?" Because I went in to the hospital. I was 14. I was 5'5", I think, 98 pounds. Yeah. And I came out of the hospital. I actually hit my growth spurt in the hospital. So I was 5'9", 5'10" when I came out, but I was only 55 or 88 pounds.
So a stick.
Yeah, I was skin and bones. I looked like a skeleton.
Wow. And that's just from basically having to sit there for 7 weeks.
He's not getting any kind of solid food. You can't move.
Moving, yeah,
that's crazy.
Moving. I couldn't even sit up in bed to do anything. I had to roll.
And you played football too, right?
Yeah.
And did this incident cause any issues with football or anything, or track or anything?
Surprisingly, no. And that's I was gonna say, the biggest thing that motivated me, I would say, was when the nurses and everything said they knew I was playing football at the time, and becoming an athlete, a young, very, very young, trying to mature and become an athlete. And they knew my passion for sports and everything, and they said, I don't want to get your hopes down, but you may not be able to, play sports like you used to. Mm-hmm. And that is what motivated me. I said, I'm not going to let this, this accident, which is what it was.
Yeah. Dude, I freaking love stories like that. I'm getting chills thinking about, you hear these, even as you being a Tennessee fan, Inky Johnson, hearing him say, you're never going to be able to play football again, which he wasn't able to, but stories like that, hearing you say, them tell you, you probably just shut down. Hearing that, you probably were just crushed, I'm sure.
I did, and it was hard to push through that because I didn't know what was in store for me, what I had to go through. The biggest thing was physical therapy.
Yeah.
I can't praise that enough, is when people, you just need to do your physical therapy, man, because it works wonders. People think it's stupid. No, that'll get you through anything.
And you're a high schooler at this time.
Yeah.
A 14, 15, 16-year-old. And I played softball with you last summer, and it's amazing. Like, I know the story now. I just heard it, and it's just, I'm more amazed. It inspires me, seriously, just to see that recovery. I mean, that's definitely the definition of being a fire through a foggy time in your life. And, I mean, we're going to get more into this because this story is pretty awesome. So you left off on, so you did your physical therapy for 3 years. You went through all this stuff. You had your mouth surgeries and everything. What was the most challenging part going through all of that, especially as a teenager? I mean, what are the thoughts?
Like, trying to fit in, I feel like trying to go back to your old life and be with your friends and run around, and I couldn't randomly wrestle. I get into little wrestling spouts with my friends. I couldn't go play basketball. I was doing physical therapy. I was essentially working out to try and regain my strength. So I think that was the hardest thing, just like not losing my friends, but just not being able to be there like normal.
So kind of some, like, a hit to your self-esteem and everything?
100%. My self-esteem was at an all-time low. My teeth were all messed up, so I was self-conscious about that.
I'm sure.
It was just it was a tough time. And not only that, but with all the trauma I had to my head, I wish I would have brought pictures. I should have.
You can just send them to me, and we'll attach it to it on the post.
My head was like the size of a pumpkin.
Really?
Because I had so much trauma to it. I mean, you wouldn't even recognize me. If I showed you a picture of me when it happened and then a picture of me now, you would think it's a different person.
Really?
And the hardest thing was, after that, I got migraines and, a bunch of bad stuff. I was pumped full with antibiotics all the time and all kinds of other drugs. So pretty much destroyed my immune system at that point. So I did miss a lot of school. People are like, oh, you just don't want to go to school. Like, no, man, I can't. Like, I get sick. Someone sneezes on me, I'm going to get sick.
Wow.
And that's actually, like, just started to rebuild. Like, it takes a while for your immune system to finally bounce back, and I've been healthier than I think I've ever been now, finally.
That's awesome.
At
So is that about the only thing about in the last 5 years that's affected you most, is the immune system?
I'd say so, yeah.
So
Migraines are gone, but
yeah,
everything else, I'm good to go.
Did you feel a little hesitant with the whole COVID stuff going on?
No, not at all.
Good.
I got it. It wasn't that bad for me personally. My parents got it, and it was worse for them. For me, it just felt like a sinus infection, so I was actually pretty glad that it was only that.
Yeah.
I lost my taste and smell, which was not fun. Lost that for like 2 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
Made the bar a little easier, though. If you want to take a shot, you can taste it.
Yeah, there you go. So I guess you can find a positive in everything, everybody. So the self-esteem problems, definitely, for sure. Especially that, I mean, you get high schoolers alone just have
terrible.
They are brutal.
I mean, shoot. And then you've got all this stuff going on. I couldn't imagine. So, I mean, good on you for, I mean, what are some things you had, what did you need to do? Like, would you go any down deep holes or anything like that?
Yes and no. I mean, I feel like my friends and just the friend group that I had, being an athlete and having that like kind of family and security helped. But there's always those kids that, try and knock you down or say one rude comment that can get into your head, and you're like, why am I letting this get to me? And it was hard being younger. It's a lot easier now just to kind of let things go. But back then, I would dwell on it and think about it. And it was tough.
Other than that, you seem to have I know your family, so it seemed that you had a good support system, right?
100%. And
awesome.
My mom didn't leave the hospital a single time. She stayed in Dayton the whole time, slept in a chair for 7 weeks beside me.
That's amazing. That's awesome. A lot of people don't have that, or wouldn't have that.
Yeah, I'd say that's what I'm most grateful for, was just always having someone there. I would have hated to be left, alone in that hospital bed as a 14-year-old.
As a kid still.
Freaking out, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there were multiple nights where I was crying just because, for one, I missed home.
Mm-hmm.
I hated being in a bed. I hated not being able to move. I just felt so helpless and useless.
Yeah. I mean, I was in the hospital at 12 for less than a week with pneumonia, and I was sick of it.
It's
I was
awful.
bawling, hated it. I wanted to go, so I couldn't imagine 7 weeks.
Yeah, it wasn't fun. And one of the biggest things, like I said, I hated the feeding tube. Worst part, So I asked them, I was like, what do I have to do to get this thing out of me? And I had to drink, I forget what it was, 12 or 14 Boost energy things. Or not energy, but the protein meal replacements.
Yeah.
And drink 12 or 14 of those a day. And I was like, I'll do it. Just get this thing out of me. I hated it. It was so uncomfortable. It gave you a sore throat. Sometimes the liquid that they would give you would like make my stomach upset. So I actually ended up puking, which isn't fun when your mouth is wired shut and you can't get anything out. So I'm just like almost aspirating to where they had to like roll me over so that like everything could, fall out.
Terrible. That's rough.
Stuff just keeps piling up. I mean,
and once we start talking more,
I
start thinking of like little stories like that I look back at now and I think are funny, but yeah, at the time they were just awful.
Yeah.
I mean, there were times when my trach would, it's still your throat, so you still get loogies, you still get, snot back there.
Yeah.
So I'd be breathing through my neck, like, they see those commercials when people have the hole in their neck.
Yeah.
So I'm breathing through my neck, and all of a sudden, like, a loogie would block the hole, and I'd be like can't breathe. They'd have to rush in and like take a tube and suck it all out, which is disgusting, I know, but
wow. I mean, that
was like that was a nightly thing.
That's what you had to go through. I mean,
I got used to it. It was just like hit the button, and be like, I can't breathe. Get this stuff
can't
out of
talk, can't breathe.
Get this stuff out of my throat.
I mean, was there any ever time that you just, I don't want to say give up or anything, but just thought this was going to be your life? Or did you have, how soon did you know you were determined to get out of this and it was going to all be okay?
Honestly, when I first took my step in the hospital, it was actually my mom. So we had a priest came in. He just walked through the hospital and he came in to my room. We all did a prayer. And he asked my mom, what do you want? What are you wanting of this? Or what do you want to pray for? And she said she wanted me to take a walk with her on her birthday. So her birthday came around and I said, I'm going to walk today. So that was like a big motivator for me. Once I took those steps and realized I could kind of walk, it was with a walker and assistance and everything. But once I realized that my leg wasn't destroyed and I could walk, and I knew that it was going to be better.
So I'm trying to just peel the onion back a little bit to just kind of get the raw emotion, but I'm not really. Obviously, your resilience as a 14-year-old is on par. You had the support system, but I'm just trying to figure out like where was the moment where
where was like at my low? Or
like did you ever have a low?
I definitely had lows. Like I said, not being able to play sports, not being able to run around. I wanted to quit physical therapy because there was a point where I plateaued and I was like, it wasn't working anymore. But I mean, as far as like depression goes or anything like that, I feel like I kept my spirits pretty high. That's and my good. Friends and my parents, helped that a lot. And
could people catch that? Did you catch yourself, or was there times where your mom or your parent, your dad or your sister's brother, I don't know, you just have a sister, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Or your friends caught you when you weren't able to, and then you had these resources to get you through it when you couldn't?
I like to hide my emotions quite well.
Don't we all?
I know, and I hate that I do that, but yeah, I would always front, and seem happy. The only one who could really tell would be like my mom.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, you're just not acting the same. What's wrong? And then I'd kind of vent to her about it or open up a little bit.
Have you learned anything from that to do that more now? Do you open up, or
100%.
Are you more vulnerable now?
I'd say I'm more, I don't know if vulnerable.
I think vulnerable is a good word.
I mean, everyone should be vulnerable though.
What?
I think to a point. I think people take that word and they think it's a weakness. We've talked about this before. If you hide your emotions, it's just going to come out in the wrong way. Or if it's too far, can ultimately lead to suicidal thoughts and anything. If you don't reach out for help or ask for help or anything like that, I think to me, that's being vulnerable. Opening up. I'm trying to.
I understand what you're saying though.
What are you thinking about being vulnerable?
I mean, I don't know. I think vulnerable to me just sounds a weakness. Like weakness. And
I thought that too, but I've
maybe I need to expand my
with stoicism and stuff that I've been reading on, stuff like this, getting through your strength, like being strong through tough times. I've learned a lot that people use that word vulnerable and they just shy away from it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, vulnerable, you're just opening up. Like you're being vulnerable.
I see what you're saying.
Because
you're making a good point.
If you aren't vulnerable, that's when you go into these dark places, I feel like, because you're letting it eat you up inside, and you go just deeper and deeper. Being vulnerable is opening yourself up, like just putting your hands up, just like you do. I mean, you're a godly person.
Huh.
I'm sure you have faith and everything. It's when you pray, I feel like, and you're asking for help and blessings and talking to God, that's you're being vulnerable.
Yeah.
That's my belief. So
I see where you're coming from in that.
So like now, I guess you guys we're all kind of on the same page. So now does that going through that time and all that suffering and everything, is that
it helped
kind
me
of open?
Be more vulnerable or open up.
Yeah.
I'm still not perfect, obviously. You know, I still have my roots to where like I don't want to show my emotion or anything like that, but I'd say it's definitely helped, and I've realized, you know, it's okay to talk to people and get help. Yeah.
So what about when you're at home, recovering? Did you ever feel hopeless or helpless? I guess helpless would be like you just would get mad that you feel like everybody's doing everything for you, that it would just upset you and you just got sick of being taken care of?
I did. 100% hated it. I wanted to fend for myself. I wanted to do things myself, go back to my old ways. That was my biggest thing. I just wanted to get back to normal. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't work like that. It doesn't just happen. You have to work for it when you go through something like that.
And would people do it reassuring? I mean, even if they said, like, stop worrying about it, Chad. Stop worrying about it. Like, we've got you. We're taking care of you. It's fine. It's all going to be good. Was that reassuring for you?
Yeah.
Or did that make you mad?
It would make me mad too. Like, I'm hungry, and my mom would be like, okay, I'll go make you something. Like, no, I can go out to the kitchen. Like, let me be normal. Mm-hmm. Stop treating me like I'm some
broken
glass doll.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I actually forced them to make me go to the fair. I still had to wear not casts, but they're like strap-on things with like bars, kind of like just a brace, like for my wrist mostly, to help them heal. Otherwise, like if people bumped into them, they were still super fragile and they would hurt. I had to wear a Band-Aid over my trach so dust didn't get into it. But I was like, I just want to go to the Derby, sit down with my friends, and be normal for once instead of being cooped up in the house and not being able to do anything.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever get over that feeling of caring about what people thought of you right away?
Oh, it took a while.
Yeah.
I feel like I still deal with it sometimes. Like,
that was going to be my next question.
Everybody's
Everybody's
self-conscious a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm pretty good with it now, though. Going through all that and just dealing with it, I don't really care what other people think.
That's awesome. It definitely, some people have to get through that by just maturity, but experiencing something that you had to go through, you kind of got that expedited by experiencing that at age 14.
Yeah.
It's a blessing in disguise.
For sure. Have you driven a two-wheel vehicle since? Yeah?
I don't know how I did it. I must be a really good talker, but I let my mom let me get another moped.
Really?
Yeah. And my biggest thing was, I'm not going to let this. It's like you get knocked off the horse, you get back on.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Don't let it scare you. It was an accident. If anything, it helped me become a very more defensive driver. Yep. You know, I had a moped after that. It was just funny because Braden wasn't allowed to get a moped because of me, and I still had one. Troy would not let him. Obviously, Troy was in a motorcycle accident, so
right.
I'm sure it was hard for him to let Braden or Brandon, get a moped.
Yeah.
And then with me happening, he was like, absolutely not. And I'm still riding over there on my moped. Yeah, he blames me all the time. He'll still talk about it, like, you're the only reason I couldn't ride around with all my friends.
Yeah. So it does make you more of a defensive driver.
100%. So much more aware.
Yeah.
14, you're invincible, right?
Oh, yeah.
You don't really look around for anything. You don't care. So
I think people age 30 still think that.
100%.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm never going to die.
I think I do sometimes, but maturity in my career has kind of changed the tables, the tides a little bit.
Right. So, I don't know how I convinced her to let me get another moped, but I pretty much told her that story, if you got into an accident, would you stop driving a car?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah.
And then I got a motorcycle after that. So I actually recently just sold it because I didn't drive it enough. But I had a motorcycle, a crotch rocket. So a very dangerous motorcycle.
It's only dangerous if you're dangerous on it.
I did some stupid stuff that I shouldn't have done.
It's not just the rider. It's the people around the rider.
So we can get into this 100%. A little bit. I'll get into this a little bit, and I agree 100%.
Yeah.
People need to look out for motorcycles. But I will also make the point that people who have motorcycles, don't be a freaking idiot on it and go zoom in through lanes and trying to go down the dash lines. I'm going to be perfectly honest right now and put that out there right now.
It's a two-way street.
If you've done that,
I haven't done
sorry,
that.
man.
I don't split traffic.
I'll agree with the saying, watch out for motorcycles, 100%. But if you're on a motorcycle being an idiot, it's kind of hard to look out for you.
It is, yep.
Wow, you sound anti-motorcycle there.
Not at all. Not at all.
Wow.
To be honest with you, I mean, you said it. Troy and my mom got in an accident, and I just have never. My mom would not let me have one, so ever since I'm just like, whatever.
I don't like motorcycles.
I think it'd be. It's not that I don't like them. I honestly would go buy one today if I really had the interest to do it. I don't know. I think I like a car better.
They're a little overrated. It's nice during the summertime, but
for sure. I get a Jeep for that.
Yeah.
Take tops off. I don't know. One day. You got any questions, Uke, right now?
No, I mean it's awesome to hear. I mean, 14-year-old is, we all know, immature. Like,
thinks you're invincible.
That's crazy. Yeah. That's crazy to think of. The resilience. I'm sure that comes from mom, dad, like ingrained in you. Like that. I mean, you weren't giving up. So it's just awesome to hear. And hear the extensiveness of the injuries. You're in the ambulance. You're like, I don't know if I'm going to make it. Like, nobody's giving me answers. I'm basically choking on my own blood. You guys aren't helping me. Like, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
That was scary. Yeah, I didn't know what to think.
I'm sitting here thinking we have all these people come on here, and every story we've had, they've all had great resilience.
Yeah.
But I feel like some of that stems off of great support.
It does, for
sure.
So
it would be interesting to have someone come on that it took a little bit longer because they didn't have the support. Like I'm just trying to put these pieces of the puzzle together, and I'm kind of wondering if someone didn't have the support that you had or AJ had, or I wonder if, I mean, maybe that, I don't know. It'd be interesting to find someone.
We'll get into a story where there wasn't a support system.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
I know we will.
Triggers. You got any triggers right now that kind of bring you back to that moment? Bring you back to a specific moment in the hospital or anything like that?
No, the biggest thing I would say is the guy who hit me, we never heard anything from him, never sent a card, never did anything. We tried to sue, he didn't have insurance. I don't really want to get into that whole side of the story, but it was just a guy who didn't have insurance, so it was useless. I mean, you couldn't take anything from him. He pled no contest, so it's saying you're guilty without saying you're guilty. Never heard from him. My biggest trigger for the longest time was he got his car repaired and still drove it around town. So when I would see that car, just immediate rage.
So I
resented him.
Is this person still in town? Like, do you know? Did you know the person to this
personally?
Day?
No, I did not know him. I know his name.
Okay.
But I didn't know him personally.
So
I've seen him around, and it's just like, it took a while for me to get over that, to just let it go. It was an accident, but the way that he was such a jerk about it.
Yeah, come on, man.
Yeah.
You basically hit me with your car. You almost killed me. You could at least just say hi, how you doing?
And I've heard stories about this guy that, he's a drunk, or he may have been drunk, and that makes me even more mad. So that was a big trigger for me, was I hate this guy. And I hate's a strong word, I know that. And for the longest time, I was like, that's the only guy I hate. I don't care what happens to him.
It's definitely understanding at that time. When's the last time have you seen him recently?
I haven't seen him in a while, no. And if I did, I'm just kind of, it's coming up in 11, 12 years. I'm kind of over it now.
If you did see him, if you had the chance to talk to him, how would your reaction be nowadays? What would you do? What could you say?
I honestly don't even know.
Yeah?
He was an older gentleman, so I don't know if he would even remember that moment.
Yeah. That'd be crazy. I'd almost to the point, like,
I don't even know
I
what
can't
would
even
say.
speak for you or anything because I've never been through anything like that, but it's almost would be like the recovery process you've had to go through. I'd almost go up and just embrace him. You've made me a stronger person because of this.
Yeah.
I mean, you might not. I don't know how you. That's where I'm kind of seeing where you're at.
I don't think I would do that personally.
Yeah.
I would want answers.
Yeah.
Really. Just,
Would you want him to know your whole story and your whole journey?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I would just be like, why did you never reach out? What, was it your lawyers telling you, don't reach out to this kid. I don't know if that was maybe that could very well could have been a part of it. And maybe I was just resenting him for no reason, but I don't know.
I wonder if it could be guilt too. Someone that's on his conscience for the rest of his life.
That's kind of how I thought about it too. I'm like, this guy has to live with that. He almost killed a 14-year-old. He has to live with that, not me.
So going back to the situation, it was his fault, correct? The way you explained the story.
Yep, it was his fault. Yep.
Okay.
So going back to actually how it happened, it was head on, kind of, or how was it? I guess.
So I'm going down the road, and he was just chilling here.
In the turn lane.
In the turn lane, and as soon as I get right here, he turns. So
Gotcha.
I hit like his passenger front tire.
Gotcha.
So head on, basically,
pretty completely cut you off.
Yeah, I got you.
Gotcha.
Wow,
I was just curious on how that happened, because when he was telling the story, I was thinking he was behind him, and then he cut back into the lane, and then I was like, wait, that can't be right. But no,
we were
thanks for clarifying.
I was thinking he's going to turn like to the left, and you were, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going straight, and he's in the turn lane, getting ready to go left across my lane.
Yeah.
Wow.
Gotcha.
And he turned at the last second, and then boom.
Yeah, no time
I guess
to react.
you'll never know. Is the crazy thing to think that you'll never know, like what was going through his head or what has been or what was.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, like I said, I went over to Stefan's house to show him my ankle. If I never would have done that, my mom even told me, she's like, "Don't go over there. Your ankle's hurt. Like, how are you even gonna ride your moped over there?" Like, I'll be fine, Mom. I'll be fine. This was summer, so I didn't have anything to do. She's getting ready to go to work, and what I always thought about that for the longest time, and I don't think you should do that. Never think of what ifs, because you can't change what happened.
Yeah.
But that was one of the things that I did find myself doing a lot. What if I did this? What if I didn't even wreck the four-wheeler? Would this happen? How would my life be now if this never happened? Would I still be an athlete? Would I be less of an athlete because I didn't push myself harder? There were so many questions that I had, and it was just driving me crazy. I'm just like, I need to stop this. There's no point in this.
And for people to do that and stuff, it's almost you want to tell them to change their mindset kind of, and just, did it happen? I mean, did I need this? Is this something I needed to grow, or would it have happened later down the road and been 10 times worse or something? So,
right.
I mean, if that's not just me giving you advice, I guess kind of just saying like maybe switch that up and just be like, hey, this is something take the positives from it. I guess you could say is just saying, I'm here. I went through this. This is what I've gained from this. Like if something like has happened again, similar or any other traumatic event, I don't know if you have had any since then or anything, but
not really
that was a process. So the strength that you've gained from this event, do you think this could help you get through something down the road?
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think what I've gone through, I feel like I can go through almost anything. Just everything I had to deal with. I just feel like that, built me up for if anything happens.
Yeah.
I know I can get myself through it.
Yeah. So now that it's happened, and this is a new question I've discovered, is let's say a couple years before that or a couple weeks before that event happening, if someone came up and asked you, hey, Chad, if you got hit by a car right now on your moped and had all this happen to you, do you think you'd be able to get through it?
I don't know. That's a hard question to answer.
It's a hard question. Yeah, it's a hard question for some to answer now, because some people are just like, heck no, there's no way I could get through that.
So you're saying a week before the accident
So if
happened,
anybody just came up to you randomly, like for instance,
when I was 14,
example, yes, back before it even happened, do you think if someone, for example, we had someone come on, her house burnt down, and I asked her, I was like, so do you think, or she kind of brought it up, said, 10 years before this, if someone had asked me if I would have made it through my house burning down, she was like, hell no, there's no way, but she made it through. I think it's been 7 years later. She's learned so much from it. Her strength is crazy. She's like, now do I want to go through another fire? No.
Right.
But can I get through it? Yes.
If someone came up to me and asked, told the story that I just told, and if I'd be able to get through it, I'd probably say no.
I mean, as a 14-year-old, it's a little bit different because I'm sitting here at 31, and also I'm literally living through these people's stories and growing from their suffering. As selfish as that sounds, I've said this before. Because I've caught myself already having a bad day, feeling sorry for myself. And I'm like, oh, man, this person has leukemia, and I'm sitting here feeling sorry for myself.
That was a big thing that got me through a lot of my stuff. Was in my mind, I was like, someone's got it worse than me.
Yeah.
Someone's got it way worse than me. Someone has cancer, and they're going to die in 2 weeks, and they have to, live their best life.
At the age 14, you're sitting there doing that.
I had so many thoughts. Like, that traumatic experience had so many thoughts for me as a 14-year-old to just feel like I didn't mature faster by any means, but like my mind and how I thought, about things, I feel like in my unconscious, I thought about things a lot more as a 14-year-old than a typical 14-year-old would.
For sure.
Definitely.
So I was always thinking, someone's got it worse than me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I got to get through this. I'm walking. I'm alive. I don't have any like serious injuries anymore. I just got to get through the therapy and I'll be good to go.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. You got anything to add or anything you want to throw out there?
I kind of forgot some spots in the story, but I mean,
go ahead.
I forgot that the windshield wiper went through my knee.
What?
Yeah. When I like rolled over the car, the windshield wiper, I have the scar still. I can show you. Right there.
Wow.
So I had to have like an ACL kind of surgery, not really an ACL, but they had to like go out there and scrape my tendons. So that was another thing where they were like, I don't know if you're going to be able to play sports as well as you used to. And then losing all the blood, I lost almost over half my blood. So that's when my heart started to like slow down and had pretty much gone into like, okay, we need to get this kid units of blood or he's going to die. So yeah, losing that much blood, and I was bleeding through my knee, I was bleeding through my mouth, through my nose, just leaking everywhere pretty much.
Man.
So yeah, that was a big thing too, was just losing all that blood was, what almost cost me my life.
Yeah. It's probably good that they put you into that coma.
Honestly,
I mean, that probably could have, you would have probably went in shock. I mean, sure you already were.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So, what's the other thing that you said you forgot another part?
Oh, they almost gave me too much penicillin in the hospital.
Oh.
They almost stopped my heart again by giving me too much penicillin.
A curveball after curveball.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was, my mom grew so many gray hairs during that period of time, just one thing after another. And it was pretty rough on her, I imagine. Almost, I feel like it was rougher on her than me. Just having to sit there and not knowing
what
watch
next, you lay there, not be able to do anything,
not knowing what next day is gonna bring your kid.
That's crazy.
What are the doctors gonna come in and say next? Probably being very pessimistic. I would assume as a parent you'd be pessimistic, like, gosh, what are they gonna come in and say next? What could go wrong? He's still got tubes coming out of his throat. He's still casted up. What else can happen?
I would love to hear her point of view.
Oh, I bet she would be a good one to have. She told a totally different story. Not a different story, but...
Oh, yeah, definitely part 2.
Should have us on
here
together.
Get her perspective.
That'd be cool. I want her on here with me. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah,
I should have told her that.
We'll do that again, part 2. We'll set it up. Let her know.
I will, 100%. Right. She would totally be down, because I told her about, when you asked me, I was like, Kelby has his own podcast, because I didn't even know it at that time.
Yeah.
When you texted me, I was like, you have a podcast? And you're like, yeah.
I mean, you're episode 8, I think.
Yeah.
And then I told her, and she's like, oh, really?
Yeah.
She started listening. She actually listened to Shelly's.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. That's a big one. So what about your dad in this whole process? And your sister?
Sister had just graduated, obviously. Yeah. She was back from school she was at Ohio State. So she was back at the time. I feel like it definitely affected her and how she had to go through college. She was always worrying about me. Oh,
I'm sure.
My dad was a little more...
A man hiding how he really feels. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he still had to go to work. He still had to, someone still had to work. My mom was off for 7 weeks. So, he would go to work during the week, and then he would drive up on the weekends, or he'd stay at like the Ronald McDonald across the way from Dayton Children's and stay there. He wasn't going to stay in the chair. He couldn't. And so I feel like it affected him, but he still had to, it probably affected him quite a bit, because he has to carry on with his life while his son is.
Has he ever talked to you about it? Ever said anything?
Not really. We talk, but like it's, father, son talk, like,
yeah,
hey, take out the trash, or hey,
yeah,
just like stuff here and there. But I don't know. We don't really talk like that to each other.
It'd be interesting to hear how he felt about it.
I would be curious.
You should just ask him one day. And then you can bring it to us on part 2.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm nervous to talk to my dad sometimes.
Yeah.
He's a scary man.
Mine
is too.
But it's the scary ones that'll break down, and
that's
Tim's a pushover. What do you mean?
I hope he listens to this one.
I'm gonna tell him. I'm gonna rat you out. I need to know more. I feel like there's so much more.
I'm sure there is, and I can't think of stuff right now. It's weird because I've told this story so many times. And like I said, I always find something new to talk about, and I can't.
So no issues with sports or anything that you ever had, or any with your knee even? You had
freshman year, I feel like I was at my peak performance. Like I was fully recovered and could play sports good. Yeah. But 7th and 8th grade is when I couldn't play as well. Mm-hmm. I was still going through therapy. I was still weak. I was still small. All that. I mean, I got cut from 7th and 8th grade basketball.
Yeah.
And Braden, I mean, that's when me and Braden became friends. He's like, how did you get cut in 7th grade? He's like, you're a stud now. I'm like, I don't know, man. I just wasn't who I am now. Yeah. I had to go through so much to get to where I'm at.
What made you keep going?
I just wanted to get back to being the athlete that I knew I could be. Mm-hmm. I just hated I didn't want to let that, like an accident, affect my athletic performance. I just wanted to get back to who I was. That was the biggest thing.
So that's a great point that I just grabbed, is you didn't want this accident to change who you were. Mm-mm. Basically.
No, I didn't.
Like, you didn't accept it. You didn't accept what had happened.
No, I wasn't going to let the injuries that happened to me affect my life.
Yeah.
You know, I'm getting back to where I was regardless.
That's awesome.
And that's what just motivated me to, keep going.
That's just insane to hear from, like, a high schooler at the time, the stuff you're saying. Like, you had to mature fast.
Yeah, and I still feel like I wasn't mature, but I was more mature than what I was.
Yeah, you're definitely still a kid.
Looking back at it now, I'm like, wow, I was way more mature than I thought I was. I mean, maybe not like mentally and like goofing around with your friends. Obviously, you're still immature and doing stupid stuff, but mentally pushing myself, I feel like I was more mature.
Wow.
I wish I would have, like I said, with missing school, I missed a lot of school. I wish I would have kind of maybe tried to fight through that more. Mm-hmm. And just been like, dude, just suck it up, go. Just get through it, because that affected me so much with, my GPA, missing so much school, trying to get, it's not the same, getting lessons brought home compared to being taught with a teacher. Yeah. So there were years where I was ineligible to play sports, and that crushed me, because it was, I'm still having things from the accident affect my life that I couldn't control.
Just a domino effect messing with you.
It was, my GPA was low some years, and I couldn't run track my junior year. I couldn't play football my senior year. I mean, it was just an ongoing effect for a long time.
Wow.
And a lot of people think that, you're just stupid. That was one thing that, like making fun of you. You're just stupid. No, man, I'm not stupid.
If they only knew.
I just couldn't go to school. I mean, I could have. Like I said, I wish I would have pushed myself. Looking back on it, I'm like, I wish I could tell my, 15, 16, 17-year-old self, just go. Trust me. You're going to miss your senior year of football if you don't go. Or you're going to miss your junior year of track where you could have broken records.
Yeah.
Or, anything like that. I wish I could go back and tell myself that, but that's not how it worked out, and you just got to live with it.
Yeah.
It's just amazing to hear. I keep going back to the maturity level. You keep saying you didn't feel, at that time, you didn't feel like you were maturing more than normal 14. Mm-hmm. But, going back to the thought process of somebody's got it worse, I can push through this. This is not the worst that somebody's going through. That shows maturity. Like, that shows a level of maturity that a 14-year-old normally doesn't see.
Right.
They want video games or whatever it is at the time,
Mm-hmm.
But, just to see that or to hear that.
Yeah.
Definitely showed that you matured. And, you could have chosen not to. I mean.
Right, yeah. If I would have chosen, not to. I mean, my life sucks. This sucks.
Yeah.
I would have been a completely different person.
Exactly.
But I don't think my family or my friends would have let that happen.
Yeah. And that goes back to credit to the support system for sure. Support system, you got to have it. Reach out. Here it comes again. I'm going to say it every episode. You cannot do life without people.
You can't.
You can't. I don't care what anybody thinks. You
think you're an introvert, you're not. You need someone, man. Everybody needs somebody.
Oh, yeah.
It's fine to be in your own thoughts, and you might like to be alone for every once in a while, but everyone's got a little bit of extrovert in them, and everyone needs that push from their friends and family.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
I've learned that a lot lately. So.
And accept the help.
Yes.
Biggest thing, accept it. Don't listen to it and let it go one ear out the other.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to what people are saying, because I'm sure they've got.
You're not too good for it.
You need to see an outside perspective, not just your own.
That's good, man. You got anything else to add before I ask the final question?
I don't think so, no.
Line up for the $1 million. I feel like I just was on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Anything you
got me nervous for this next question.
No, it's nice. No. So, Fire Through Fog, what does it mean to you to be a fire through a foggy time in your life? what do you think it takes to get through a foggy time? So get through is that fire. So what
gets me? I think just staying positive.
Yeah.
Positive energy. It's going to get you, don't get down on yourself. That's going to give you fire, just being positive about yourself and knowing you can do it. Don't count yourself out for anything. You can do anything. I mean, you just got to, that's such a cliche term. You can do anything if you put your mind to it, but it rings true, man. And I think you just got to stay positive, and you'll build your own fire inside when you just stay positive. Don't get down on yourself ever.
Yeah, that's definitely, like you said, you can do anything if you put your mind to it. You had no choice in the hospital bed. That's all you could do is put your mind to it.
Yeah, literally.
You literally could not move.
Yeah, it was all mind game at that point.
That's awesome to hear.
Yeah, you literally have two choices. Yeah. Roll over or be
negative
or positive.
Yeah.
I mean, and you
either lay there and give up, or you mentally prepare yourself for what's about to come.
Yep.
And I did like physical therapy in the hospital, so just laying in bed and they were like moving my leg up and down. Yeah. I could have been like, "Ow, that hurts, stop," and like lied. I just don't want to do it. But no, I was push through it. Let's go.
That's good, man. I mean, do you have anything else you want to add? This is your episode, but now we got part 2 set up.
Yeah, we do have part 2. So I guess I'll ask a final question as well. What would you tell someone if you had the opportunity that they're going to go through a situation similar? What would you tell that person in preparation for what they were about to go through?
I like that.
I'd say build yourself up with people, like build people around you that you can trust and that are going to help you. Don't be around people that are going to be negative. Just always be around, trying to be around positive people. Get yourself a good friend group.
Yeah.
I know that's with high school and stuff. That's easier.
Rough.
It's easier said than done. And
absolutely.
And I was fortunate enough to be in sports, and you already kind of have your clique. And,
yeah.
But everyone's got their clique. I mean, you can always find your friends, and I think just building up a support system and trying to, make yourself mentally it's so hard to do to mentally prepare yourself. No one knows how to mentally prepare themselves for something tragic to happen. It's kind of just built in the moment. I feel like it's
Yeah,
that's where it is. I mean, Chad, would you have gotten through this before even it happened? Probably not. Definitely not. That would have sucked if my femur broke, my wrist are broken. There's no way I would have played sports again. That's probably the answer you would have given.
That probably was the answer.
But you were forced through suffering to discover this strength. I mean, really, it's almost like working out. You lift the weights over and over, you're going to get stronger. You had to do all these procedures, all these daily tasks and routines just to train yourself again and now you're stronger because of it.
Yeah, it's crazy. You don't know what you're capable of until something like that happens. And I think that's the biggest thing. You don't know what you're capable of. So don't be scared.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid for something to happen, because you're capable of crazy things. I went through it firsthand. I never would have thought that would happen. And, my body pushed through it. My mind pushed through it.
Yeah.
You're capable of way more than what you think.
I'm glad we just brought this up, because I just wrote this down today. It was a quote. Now I forget who said it, but it says, "You cannot bury or outrun adversity. Take it head on." I love that.
100%.
I mean, that's your only option if you want to get through it, if you want to grow from it. That's what it is.
Don't shy away from adversity.
For sure. And building that internal fire as much as you can with all the resources you possibly can, making sure you have a fit body and health as best you can, and just reading or studying or learning every day, being resilient when you get knocked down. I mean, what's the Rocky Balboa saying? It's not about how hard you get hit. It's about how hard you are hit, and if you can keep moving forward or something like that.
I think you butchered that pretty bad.
I probably did.
That just reminds me. That's kind of like this one of the.
What is it? It's not about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
It's kind of like a quote I used to use when I was younger too. It's not the size of the fight in the dog. It's the size, or it's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog.
Exactly.
So it's like similar to that.
Yeah. And I mean, then last is efficient. Just being efficient, consistent in your life with everything you do. You may get those times where you just are coasting, but then that's just going to lead to complacency, which could lead to something happening. So just making sure you're efficient on top of things. And
100%.
So awesome.
Yeah, that was a good story. I mean, everybody's got all these stories have been great, but and it's your story. So no matter how much worse someone has had it than you, it don't matter. This is you. This is you. This is your story. So that's what I would give you.
Also, I never would have became friends with Braden if this didn't happen. To
Really?
be honest. Yeah. We got put into I don't know how it happened, but he just we knew each other kind of, but then he found out that I like almost died, and then he talked to me, and then we became like best friends like that.
That's awesome.
So that was pretty cool. I got a really good friendship out of
That's good to hear, for sure.
Crappy situation.
Good on Braden too.
Yeah.
For sure.
It was awesome. We played so much Call of Duty together.
Yeah, feeling that pain. That's strong of him. So usually people shy away from that at that age, especially like, oh, they're hurting. I don't know what to do.
Right.
So, but that's cool on Braden.
Yeah. Shout out Braden.
Well, man, I really appreciate your time and your story, and I really do look forward. Let's get this part 2.
I will.
I want to hear from your mom's perspective.
Definitely. I kind of want to hear it because I've never really, I haven't really talked to her about it either, so I'm curious too.
Oh man,
that's the thing. I mean,
it's gonna be exciting. I'm excited for it already.
It's not just like it's her story too, and it's kind of goes in the same lines. I mean,
she's gonna cry, man. She's a crier.
Hey, we got tissues.
Yeah, right there.
Got tissues.
So, I mean, she did. She went through it with you.
She did.
So
she's a champ.
Your whole family did.
Yeah.
And like I said, if you ever have the courage, I'd be interested in hearing your dad's side too, even if it's from you and your mom.
Yeah.
Because I know that's probably, he's got something in there, I feel.
Oh, he definitely does.
And I think it's going to be a gut punch to all of you.
It might be.
Because what was it with Stolly? He's like, his dad said, you took 10 years off my life.
Yeah.
When he
changed
got hit,
his whole
Do
relationship.
you know Jacob Stolly?
Yeah.
He got hit by a car.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he just said, I asked him what his dad thought, and he's like, yeah, you took 10 years off my life. And that right there, that was a gut punch. But yeah, man, I really appreciate your time. If you don't got anything else, we'll close this one out.
Thanks for having me, guys. It was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming.
Of course.